Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisco Gaming, and in today's video, sponsored by the makers of Civilization Heirs and Allies, we're going to show you how to capture a city-state and how to capture docks, because our alliance was possibly the world first to capture the city-states and docks of certain levels. I can't say with absolute certainty that that's the case, but I think that it actually is. I'm playing in the regional launch of the game. It's live now in Asia Pacific. So if you use a VPN, you could play right away. Or you can just use the link in the description if you'd like and pre-register for when the game goes live in your region. And using the link down below will support my channel. So thank you again to the makers of the game for sponsoring this video, and also to you for pre-registering for the game, which will give you a bunch of sweet rewards. And I showed you what those are in the live stream where I made this account. Card will be in the end screen. We'll get to that. All right. So city-states are how your alliance gains control of territory. All this stuff in red is because we own the city-states for certain regions. That lights up those regions as red, as being under our control. And there are a bunch of reasons why you want to expand your territory, right? Obviously, this is giving us a whole bunch of access to different places, but also we're getting a series of passive bonuses and the ability to create wonders. Okay, within this game, we'll talk a little bit more about wonders, but each wonder can only be built once. You got to be the first to go and do it. Otherwise, you can't have it. Kind of cool, but there's a lot of incentive to control city-states, build wonders on those city-states, harvest the passive benefits, all right? And the other thing that you can get is a series of buffs. I mean, there's a lot to it. So you may be wondering, Chisco, can you just zoom in and show me a few city-states? Happily, you can see city-states and docks are of different levels. So for example, you can see, I'll move the screen over here. This one is level 3. That one is level 7. The one over there is level 4. This one is level 5. But I will zoom all the way in here to this one right here. All right. So when I tap into this, I can show you that there is a passive resource generation here. Now, this is not a crazy amount of resources, okay, but it's nice. The city-state has a bonus. But there is more to it. Because each city-state, as it turns out, has a designation. There's 4 types of city-states you can capture, okay? Those 4 city-state types are industrial, tech, trade, and military. This, I believe, is trade. So I can go in here, and I think I could show you this. Let's see here. We'll go to the diplomacy section. So this is showing you my trade-based diplomacy bonuses. So for each of those 4 types of city-states, I can have 4 passive bonuses, which is pretty cool. In fact, there's a separate screen I can show you that'll give you an overview of all the bonuses. I'll take you there in just a second. But this is why you're capturing city-states in part, okay? So if I go over here, I can make my way over to the diplomacy section, and you can see there's tech, military, industrial, and trade diplomacy with city-states. These are my active bonuses, okay? So I can show you, I suppose, that different city-states have the different designations, right? So that was a trade city-state. This city-state is a tech city-state. It says so, right over there. The provincial capital, tech, all right? And I mentioned to you wonders. Here's our hanging gardens, baby. Great wonders. View details. Check it out. So your alliance can build the great wonders, which gives you bonuses. Ruins have a 50% yield for 4 hours on insight. We can increase that yield. An iron yield boosts stone and food. Okay. Very powerful little boost we can garner from that. Now that, however, that's just the wonders. There's a bunch of these wonders, all right, that can be built. And again, you got to be the first. Okay, you got to be the first, particularly for this rarity of wonder. I actually don't know about the other rarities, but anyways, let's talk about the bonuses that you get in the diplomacy section, because this is really cool. Okay, so for tech, I've got these different bonuses here. For military, I've got these bonuses. Industrial, a different set of bonuses. Trade, a different set of bonuses. Okay. In order to get these bonuses, you have to dispatch an envoy to a city-state to receive a random bonus. And then you decide which bonus you want to keep and which you want to remove. Okay, so gosh, there's a bunch of these that I've done. But I have 41 diplomatic envoys. So let's go send a few. And I'll show you how this works. So I can go over here. I can pick where I want to dispatch an envoy to. And it's showing me, okay, bro, here is what the available bonuses are if this is where you want to dispatch to. Now, I would want to go to this level 9 because the bonuses are going to be better, okay? For military, I've got up to level 8. Industrial, I've got up to level 7. In part is going to depend on the active bonuses that I already have here, okay? But let's go and we'll dispatch an envoy. I'm just going to do this one over here, okay? And it's showing me, here are the options for the kinds of bonuses you could get. Pretty cool. Let's see here. This is for tech. So if I hit dispatch, what did I get? During the first turn of battle, increase all flying units tactical int by 3. So if I wanted to use this bonus, I could. I also could just dispatch again, and I get another bonus. Reduce monument construction time in your capital by 6.9%. So I can get a look at this and I can see, gee, was 6.9% a good result? And let's see, do I scroll down here? Construction time in your capital. Yeah, 5 to 15%, not a great result, right? So I'm not going to trade that one in. In fact, I think I had better. What are my active bonuses? Yeah, I have 8%. So you win some and you lose some, but if I wanted, I could get rid of some of these. And yeah, you'll blast through a bunch of these as you make your way to better and better city-states and better buffs, all right? So city-states obviously have a lot of benefits here. And by the way, I did mention wonders for your alliance. You can make your way over here into the alliance section, right over here. And you can see the wonders in the upper right. And that's how you get to that wonders screen, okay? And, you know, you can look to say like, hey, you wanted all the details here, right? Wonders are alliance buildings that are unlocked with milestones. Wonders must be built within an alliance city-state. Some wonders might have additional construction requirements. Building a wonder expends alliance materials. Alliance members with the requisite permissions can initiate the construction of a wonder. Each alliance may only have one wonder under construction at a time. If I remember correctly, it was basically like doing quests to contribute to the wonder. When a wonder is under construction, alliance members can earn wonder construction points by completing wonder quests. Yes, I did remember correctly. When the required amount of construction points has been reached, the construction is completed. And this is a race against other alliances, which is pretty cool. Honestly, I could make a whole video about wonders. I gotta back out of this. Enough about the wonders. Let's talk about how you actually capture a city-state, all right? So I'm going to put video on screen, again, of, if I haven't done this already, what I think is a world-first capture. And it's a world-first capture because this is a part of the regional launch of the game that I'm playing in. I'm in the second server that launched, okay? And yeah, I think we were the first ones for certain levels. I don't know with 100% certainty, but I think we were. So kind of a big deal. So if you want to capture a city-state, what has to happen? So the first city-state you actually can capture is going to be in your starting zone. And subsequent city-states that you capture are going to need to be connected by a road. Okay, so you can see on my screen now, like examples of these roads going places. You're going to need, and there's roads going all over, right? You're going to need a road connection from the one in your starting area. This was my starting area, to one of the neighboring city-states. So you can see this one is neighboring my starting area, all right? And you're going to need to, as I zoom in correctly this time, you're going to need to get a tile that's connected to that city-state that you want to capture. Your alliance leaders will likely build an alliance fort next to the CS to allow your members to restation their armies near the CS or the dock. And the reason that you want to restation is to keep your morale at 100. Remember, the more tiles you go through to get to a destination, the less damage you will deal. So you'll have it at 100% rather than having it decline from traveling. And you'll also build a siege camp. And the siege camp allows your alliance to initiate a siege rally, where members can basically join with one main army and a siege army, and the rally will attack once the waiting period is over. Siege armies can also be placed near the area of the CS or dock to help reduce its endurance. Takes a set amount of time to kind of set up and to use ammo when you do that. But during the capture period, guards need to be defeated. After that, you can use siege armies, for example, balloon bombers, to reduce the CS or dock's endurance or health down to 0. Once the endurance is 0, you can capture the CS or dock. In fact, if I tap on any CS, I can go in and show you, here's what the guards are up top, the endurance is listed on the right, and here's what they're recommending that you'll need to go and take it. Now, I will mention that we were able to do this with less, but also the people in this alliance know what they're doing. I'm not going to claim that I'm some grand expert in this game. They were sort of teaching me what I needed to know along the way. So, like, they're the experts. I'm along for the ride. And thank you for having me along for this ride. I appreciate you. All right. So if you don't get the endurance down to 0 by the end of a 1-hour timer, then the endurance will, it's not the endurance that shoots back up. The guards, I believe, respawn. I think the endurance stays the same. I assume the endurance does recover over time. I will update the pinned comment. I don't know exactly how that works, but when I do, I'll update the pinned comment for that, okay? So get the endurance to 0, and then you've captured it, all right? That's the trick. Defeat the guards, reduce the endurance, do it in under an hour, ideally, and you're cooking with gas, okay? So are there any other requirements to capture a city-state? So your alliance does need to have a tile connected to it, as I mentioned. In order to do this, your alliance is ultimately going to have to path, this is what I've heard it called, in tile building games in this genre, is you got to sort of path your way over to this location. And there's something called a paving tile. I'll put the text for a paving tile on screen, where basically you capture some number of tiles and delete the ones behind you as you go. And the reason you want to do this is like you can only own so many tiles at a time. But the other thing you can do is kind of leapfrog off of your alliance members' tiles, which is always sort of the case. So this is not something you have to do alone. This is something you can do together. With regard to the minimum punch that it takes to capture a city, state, or dock, we talked about kind of what that looks like. But it is worth mentioning, when we go and get a look at a dock, we actually were paving our way over here. So often, I think a zone will kind of look like this when you're on your way in. So capturing the dock will get you into the zone. You can't go over the water. I'm not aware of any way to go over the water. Like, you need to go through these docks in order to get to the next zone. And often there will be a bunch of barbarian camps and guards blocking your way. So you'll need to potentially go deal with those barbarians as you make your way into that next zone. All right. Now, the other thing I will mention is that you can't just like take over the entire map on day 1, but you can go really fast. So a lot of these different zones and dock levels are gated by the milestones of the game, okay? So once the requirements for a milestone have been met, then you can go and capture something of a certain level. So let me show you that. So you can see here in the bottom menu, I open up milestone, and let's see here. It removes, perfect example. We're already on a status here that says remove the status from level 7 passes when this particular milestone, Prosperous Future, is completed. Right? There's also new wonders that get unlocked, and there's about 12 hours left here. The third set of wonders will unlock after the milestone is complete. There it is. KSR. Hey, that's us. Woo! Top of the leaderboard, baby. Very poggers. Okay, I'll take it easy. Anyways, let me summarize this whole thing, okay? The reason you want to get a CS is because there's a ton of bonuses. In fact, gosh, I can't remember which CS it is, but one of these CSs is giving, oh, I found it, an insight bonus, 40 per hour. Woo! So you're going to get bonuses from the city-states. You're going to get zone control from the city-states. You're going to get the ability to build wonders. You're going to get a whole bunch of buffs that you'll obtain through diplomacy. And yeah, there's some randomness, but you send envoys to the city-states, you draw from a pool of buffs, and hopefully you get the higher end of the percentages and you swap them in for tech, military, industrial, and trade. And you need to have a road connected. You'll need to work with your alliance to do this. You cannot do this as a solo operation. These are going to be gated by the milestones within the game that can progress really quickly depending on your server and how it's going. but they're not all going to unlock on day one. But within a few weeks, you'd be surprised at how much can get done. Not only do you need to do this as a part of a team, but you're going to need to do some amount of sieging. So you defeat the guards and reduce the endurance of the tile to 0. And although I hadn't mentioned this earlier, how do I find my siege capability? So your siege capability is listed right here on each of your heroes, all right? Hannibal Barca, baby, with the eye patch. All right, you enjoyed the vid, throw a like on here, subscribe to the channel. A big thank you again to the makers of Civilization, Eras, and Allies for sponsoring this video. I have been smashing my way through the early game, and honestly, I'm being guided generously by KSR, so thank you for having me. I appreciate you as I learn my way through the game. They're experienced. I am the noob, so I'll say it for what it is, but I've learned a lot, which is why I'm making these videos. And once you know how this stuff works, it's like, oh, yeah, this is actually pretty straightforward. But the first time you're doing it, obviously, as you're learning everything that's happening in the game, it can be a little bit intimidating, and I get it, which is, again, why I hope these videos are incredibly helpful. Consider subscribing. If you want to see my start into the game, check the card in the end screen. This will be my start, where I live streamed it. Also, I'll have another card showcasing the best civilization to pick at the start of the game. And again, if you want to pre-register for the game, use the link in the description. You could also use a VPN to start playing now. The game is live regionally at the time of this recording in Asia Pacific. All right. Until next time, you have fun smashing your enemies. Take care, everybody.